Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's webinar featuring the latest in cloud technology for contractors, Sage Intacct Construction. Our subject matter expert today is Bob Sandlins from Recording Company. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone is muted for a clean listening experience. If you have questions, please type them into the questions box and we will address them at the end of the session. For the best visual experience, please maximize your screen. This webinar will be recorded and the link will be emailed to everyone later today. I will now turn it over to you, Bob.
Thank you, Krista. Good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't have my contact information, here it is. I've worked with many of you over the years, so hello, if we've not chatted in a while. For those of you that are new to Accordant, we're a Sage partner with a technology focus on construction, real estate, and service-based companies. We support thousands of clients. We have a deep bench of Sage certified consultants ready to assist with any needs that you might have with not just what we're going to talk about today, but also Sage 100 contractor or Sage 300 construction and real estate. So today's agenda, we're going to cover three main areas. One, we're going to talk about the interactive dashboards, a new way to view data interactively. Second, we'll jump into a comparison of the UX and UI, or user experience and user interface, essentially the design of the software, the look and feel of the product, and how it might compare and hopefully meet your expectations of a modern cloud solution. And then last, we'll look at just a couple workflows to take a look at perhaps how we record a bill, an invoice, enter a purchase order or subcontract or change order, and roll it to the next document, a purchase order to perhaps a receiving ticket right to an invoice, and then out to pay a bill. So we're going to start with just a short slide deck, I promise, and then we're going to jump right into the application, Sage Intacct Construction. Many of you attending this webinar are right now using Sage 100 Contractor or Sage 300 CRE. First and foremost, Sage is committed to ongoing development of both 100 and 300 for many years to come. Sage 100 and 300 to continue to be the most widely used and newly implemented products in the industry. Today, either product can be on-premise, a server right in your building, or can be cloud hosted for you. Plus, both offer a number of available web services to extend your operations to the web via a mobile user. So that's today. You can either run your products in a hybrid mode, which would be cloud enabled, and then add perhaps an extension to either product for perhaps service or even project management out to the web. Sage Intacct is a next generation product, natively built for the cloud. It's true multi-tenant SaaS, which is software as a service. Sage Intacct has today 13,000 customers. So it's new for construction, but it's been in the marketplace and is today considered or revered in the marketplace as a really strong financial system, now with benefits of having construction on top of it. So it really all started with Timberline and Master Builder, if those names ring a bell for those of you on this call, which then became Sage 100 Contractor and Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. Sage Intacct Construction, again, is the next product, and much of what we've learned with the implementation and design of 100, 300, or at least the better features, have been incorporated into Sage Intacct. We'll talk further about that when we jump in. So three key things to take away. It is a rock solid financial application. So AP, GL, AR, billing, cash management, everything you'd expect in a modern product. And remember, even on when we're talking about a web application, it's much easier today to connect this product to other services. An example would be cash management. Today in Sage Intacct, clients will connect their bank accounts directly to their bank, allowing for reconciliations or transactions to flow easily and daily back into Sage Intacct for reconciliation process. So you're not importing perhaps clear checks for the month in Sage 100, 300, and then performing reconciliations. It's automatically posting. And we're going to start with, when we jump into the application, what's different about the dashboards or the interface in the software and how we navigate. So Sage Intacct is the first and only preferred provider of the AICPA, the only publisher to have earned this endorsement to date. Intacct is the undisputed leader in customer satisfaction as well, as evidenced by ratings of 98 out of 100 on G2 across 2,000 surveys in the winter of 2020. So highly regarded. And then Gartner recognizes Sage Intacct as a visionary in the small to mid-size ERP market. So you today, in running 100, 300 QuickBooks, you're doing your upgrades yourself. They come out a couple times a year. Usually there's one large release and a year-end release, and you're making those updates as you find time. With Sage Intacct, a subscription product, they're automatic. And in the case of Intacct, it's 4 times a year: February, May, August, and in November. Sage pushes out new releases. Takes place on a Saturday. You walk in Monday and you'll see videos and documentation as to what's new in the software. So much easier to support your business without having to worry about keeping your software current. So this slide is just I wanted to show this because it speaks to the markets that Sage Intacct covers, and obviously construction is what we're covering or reviewing today. And so Sage has spent the last 3 years really tuning the application specific to the needs of a construction company, but leveraging the power of a core financial accounting system that has deep roots into functionality that is expected today in a modern, modern best-in-class product. And it sits obviously on a foundation that will give you performance, you'll see in a minute, that is expected today. So there are hundreds of what Sage refers to as marketplace providers. And hopefully you recognize some names: Salesforce for CRM integration, Procore for project management integration, perhaps Bill.com, maybe Expensify for expense control. The beauty of the interface is not an import, export, or an ODBC connection like what we do today in 100, 300, but rather a use of APIs, application program interfaces, to connect directly to Sage Intacct. So if you use one of these products, you'll find the integration to be seamless. Now, some of you have today Sage Paperless or TimberScan, or perhaps ToolOps, Sage ToolOps, or Sage Service Operations, and even Procore. Take comfort in knowing that all of these products are moving to the Sage Intacct platform as well. TimberScan's new product, web service, Titanium, is available today. Sage Service Operations will be available second, third quarter this year. And Procore has limited integration, but the May release will find a lot more of the connections that we're accustomed to with Sage 300 today. So let's jump into the application, and we're going to start with a dashboard. So I've actually opened up 3 dashboards to display just to give you a sense as to what you're capable of doing with this application. Now, when you log in, notice I'm logged in as R. Sandlin's up top. And your logins could be specific to a specific dashboard or even application or screen. So if you notice this first one, I'm on a controller dashboard. This next one is a projects dashboard. And here's a second one or a third with project performance. So we'll look at each in a minute, but when you log in, you could come right to a dashboard. And it could be a dashboard that includes both financial and project data in one. This particular board we're looking at, notice up top, 3 performance cards, each with a trending indicator. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. Cash flow detail by entity, an income statement, a balance sheet. Here's a revenue by entity represented in a pie chart. Now, notice up top, on the very top of the screen, right to the coordinate demo company, it says top level. So for those of you that have multiple entities, it's one click from here to open up another entity and display that dashboard. Now that's one way to do it, but in that case, you're actually opening up a company. For those of you that are on QuickBooks, you're opening up multiple companies, but yet each company is in its own database. The same is true for Sage 100. In Sage 300 and Sage Intacct, we can have multiple entities in a single database. We can transact at what's called the top level in code or post transactions across companies, or we could just go right into a company and enter transactions. Security is as well tight with Sage Intacct in that when I log in, I might only see a specific entity or division if that's perhaps your configuration of the software. So that's a navigation trick. Notice in the dashboard itself, we have filters. So you could say, well, wait a minute, I want to see this dashboard specific to an entity, and I want to see that within the dashboard re-render right on screen. So that's a specific entity, and I've now just displayed an income statement, cash flow, balance sheet live as of today for any company you choose. By the way, companies and projects can be grouped. So if you notice, if I choose North Region as an example, I've then attached, in this case, notice over to the left here, Texas and Maine, those 2 entities or divisions are rolled up to one group. So really strong consolidation capability right on screen, all real time. Let's clear this. One more filter. Notice that I'm looking today at this data live. Perhaps you wanted to see transaction data at the end of December. Very fast, re-rendering the data. Notice, by the way, the performance card, hey, it's down, that should be red, right? No, in this case, it's trending down. It's G&A expenses, so that's good that it's trending down, right? So 11,675 this period. It could be month to month, year to year, year to date versus year to date last year. So the comparatives are whatever you'd like to see in any performance card. Think of the performance cards as key performance indicators. Notice that the prior month you had $4,000 of health benefit cost. This month too. Well, why? Double click, drilling right down the transactions. That's an added benefit of Sage Intacct. And by the way, all the screens that you see, if you notice up top, you could customize them. You could define it as a different view and then add it to a dashboard. So highly flexible dashboard tools. One other really quick thing everyone seems to love. So if we open up, let's say, a balance sheet or an income statement, I'll just view that right on screen. Displays full screen, and again, you could from here drill down to transactions. On all the dashboards, by the way, one click to drill down to a transaction detail from any blue link. So where you see blue links, blue, that means we can drill down into the detail. Notice up top as well, one click to drop to Excel, and it comes in nice and clean. So some of the products you might have, Office Connector, I'll talk about My Assistant a little bit too. Even things like Print Boss or Create a Check are not needed. You're going to see functionalities in the core applications that will eliminate some of the third-party tools that we've used with Sage 100 or Sage 300. So I'll just go ahead and close that balance sheet, but you can open up any component on a dashboard and display it. Now let's dig deeper into what construction looks like. So take a look at this dashboard, performance cards again, measuring frankly whatever you want displayed with or without trending indicators. Now on this dashboard, I put one just on the number of jobs this month. So last month I had 2 versus this month we have 1. We could drill down if we want. So dashboards and I'm sorry, performance indicators can use a capability in Sage called statistical accounts, and it could be tracking number of employees or profit per employee, perhaps on a CFO controller dashboard, or in this case, it could be profit per job on an average, or in this even simpler case, just how many jobs do I have this month versus last month, or year to date versus last year. Notice the views again, all of these, think of them as widgets within the dashboard, allow for drill downs right to transaction detail. Notice on this one, by the way, and by the way, remember, one click to view it all, large screen, and then you could just drop it to Excel if that's your preference, or edit the view. Notice that the first project's overview is showing just what job by job, and whatever columns are relevant to how you want to look at your projects. The next one is more almost like a QuickBooks view of a job where you've got a little mini P&L on every job. And again, we could put filters on that and show certain job types. Here's a project profitability by customer again. Here's by job type, so hotels or whatever, different types. I'll show you the filters by type in a minute. Here's a WIP with all projects, a WIP using a forecast, a WIP by project manager. Here's some user-defined groups that we've enabled, and then different views of data. Perhaps I want to see profitability or project margin in a bar graph, or in a trend over a period of months. So these are different views, and by the way, there's a backlog report on the bottom as well. So project performance dashboard. Here's another flavor. 3 performance cards. This time I've got, instead of a little, you noticed over here, an arrow, we upped our game a little bit and put our thumbs down because profit's down. And again, drill down into detail. Notice as well over to the right, we just added a little coloring. Now, this color could carry across the line, or it could be just on the profit area. And the shading is based on levels we've set in the formulas behind that. Again, different presentations. Now, very important, in Sage Intacct, you'll hear us talk about dimensions, and dimensions are really attributes to data. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's say you want to look at this dashboard right now by a vendor. So when you record a transaction, the transaction would normally include a GL account, maybe a vendor or a customer, a job, a cost code, a category, an item, perhaps from inventory. Those are all attributes, which are dimensions in Sage Intacct. And the dashboards, all in the reports, allow for filters on those dimensions. So looking at this dashboard, if you want to see just how it relates to a specific vendor across multiple projects, we've just filtered on a dimension, vendor, and now we're looking at just the transaction detail that that vendor makes up. So again, we could drill down on any of the detail related specific to that vendor. Another view of that would be, let's say we want to look at just a specific type of work. So these are groups, just like what we do in GL, where we group entities or divisions. Here now we've got an example of grouping projects by type. And we can have as many groupings or consolidations as you choose. So there are the hotel projects. Let's see the warehouse projects. And again, you drill down into detail. Okay. So let's move away from dashboards, and just by review, the dashboards are interactive tools, or it's an interactive tool that lets you really take advantage of the power of Sage Intacct dimensions. And dimensions, remember, are tags on transactions or attributes that allow you to slice and dice the data. And then customized filters or ad hoc searches, that's all part of this. Performance cards to track key performance indicators, and then account groups for quick data consolidations. And of course, everywhere you're going to see drill downs right to transaction. We'll jump in a minute to like an AP bill screen and then a payment screen, and you'll see the same capability built into the application. So I want to move on to the user experience and interface. And to do that, let's jump into an entity. And so just by way of introduction of the applications, so these are the core applications: AP, cash management, purchasing, job costing, which you're familiar with, accounts receivable. Order entry is billing, contract-based billing, quick bill type invoices. We can go from a quote to a bill if you want. Inventory control. What's coming later this year will be payroll. Yes, payroll. And we have a company coming out releasing a property management module as well for those companies that need property management. So how's the interface look? Couple things first. Notice I'm on this home screen. So all of the updates as they come out, they're released here, and it's important to know that not only can you get released notes, but videos on all of the new capabilities released in the software. And this most recent release, I think there's like 15, 16 videos on what's changed in the software, as well as obviously notes so that you can drill down and look at the detail. But there's a lot of work being done on this suite of software. So let's close that. Let's just go back to the applications. We're going to jump into AP for a minute. Let's look at like a vendor setup screen. Notice, by the way, this screen, this list view that pops up, it's editable for each user. I'll show you that when we look at bills in just a minute. Notice the action buttons on the top right screen. You're going to see that everywhere, and they will vary based on security or permissions set up. So in this case, I can add a vendor. Here's your vendor screen. I'm not going to dwell on every field here, but notice just the look and feel of this. It has the interface that people expect today in a modern cloud product. As well, I've added just some custom fields right on the screen as well. So very easy to add custom fields, by the way, not just to master files, but you'll pick where you want it, and not just to a master file, but also any entry screen. So when we're entering a bill or a purchase order or a subcontract, you can place a custom field on the header or on the distribution where you actually code the invoices. And again, bank information, streamlined workflow around ACHs, and obviously other payment providers if you want to use other payment services like a Bill.com or Amex or others. So nice look and feel. If we jump into job cost and look at the job setup screen, let's just jump there real quick. And we're going to jump into jobs. And notice, by the way, I just clicked from a AP vendor screen right to a job screen. We'll click add if we want to add a new one. Notice to the left, there's an edit or view. And as well, for those of you that use extras, built-in capability to have any kind of sub job or extra capability, and we can go multiple parent-child levels, not just what you see here. And it's more visual. And you'll see that in a lot of places than what we do with Sage 300 and 100. If you click edit to the very far left, if you have the ability to do that, here's your job setup screen. Notice all the way at the bottom, by the way, I have a feature turned on called Collaborate. So everywhere in the software, when you're recording a bill, a journal entry, a cash receipt, you can have those notes or comments attached right to the transaction, and you can collaborate with others in your company about that. So in this case, one of our reps, Henry Lubis, started this project. I made a note to that, and then one of our guys, Bruce Dominic, approved it. But that could be beyond just notes. You could drag and drop emails into it or other documents, and that is saved on the job, on the vendor, or more importantly, on the invoice that was on hold or the journal entry that was made. Again, tabs, these are just moving additional elements of data. I want to just jump all the way over to estimates for a minute while we're talking about job cost. And this is much more streamlined than what we have today. I'm just going to click on this little pencil and open up the job estimate, and I'll maximize this screen. And notice on one screen, you can go in and edit any line item on an estimate. We can also have revisions to lines as well. You could also take this estimate, let's say this was the original estimate, and now we're making a change to it. Notice the action buttons up on the top right. One click, let's duplicate that estimate, make some changes, call it estimate 52 and make it your primary. So really easy way to edit an estimate, and you'll see that in so many places. And obviously there's an audit trail behind everything that's done, and as well, just the layout. I'll show you on just this one screen, but you can actually define which columns you want displayed on the top of the on the screen itself. So you'll define what these columns are here based on what's relevant to your business. All right, so let's move away from that, and we're going to jump into a couple other quick screens. And first, we're going to start with AP bill entry. Notice this view, I've tailored it specific. That's why it says Bob's view. Views on every screen can lay out data a certain way. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, you might want to real quick search on just a specific vendor like Alpha and just pull up all their transactions. So the fields up top are searches. You can also, with one click, just click on that column and it resorts that column in ascending or descending order. Click over to the right, let's add a bill. So one click, compare this to your existing software today and almost anything in the market today, just the look and feel of this. That's why we're excited about it. By the way, as well, you don't have to have a list button to go look up a vendor list. Just start keying it in. It'll do a best fit for you. And I'll just pick a vendor. I'm going to skip some of these fields today. Notice this attachments option. Let's just go ahead and drag a document onto that entry screen. Now, it could auto sequence that document number. Let me give it a decent document number or name. We could put it into different folders, all searchable later. And one click, that document that we just dragged and dropped onto this AP bill or invoice is now saved with the transaction. Now, if you notice up top, I have post to new. I might be in just a submit. I might not be able to post the transaction. I might submit it and might go to somebody else for review and approval. And then notice down below, just like you do today, you'll pick a project. On that project, you'll pick a cost code. We'll pick a cost type or a cost category, whatever you need them to be. And I'll just go ahead and drop an amount in here for, let's say, $9 grand, or let's make it 900 bucks. And I'm going to just click post. Wait a minute. Bill number is required. You got to have a bill, an AP invoice. And I'll go ahead and click post again. Wait a minute. Another warning. Well, what's this? Well, that transaction, now, you don't have to do this, but we recommend this as really best practice. When you win a job, you should load that job with your cost codes and categories and budgets or estimates. That's what this number is right here. And by the way, if you notice it's blue, what does that mean? I could drill down into the estimate and see that line item. And by the way, I won't talk about this now, but that estimate could also be over a period of time. But right now it's just a total number. But that's the 6,500. There's $5,200 of bills already coded. So they're the bills that are already coded to this line item. You have a $2,800 purchase order. I click on that. I'm going to go get to the purchase order. This $900 that I'm attempting to enter creates now a variance of $2,409. Your budget was $65. You posted $5,200 already. You have another $2,800 on open purchase orders. That plus this gives you a variance of $2,409. Now, no electric shocks to the keyboards, but we could obviously prevent this bill from being posted, or I have the double secret password, just go ahead and post it. So that is real quick, simple way to enter a bill. Let's look at real quick, just so everybody knows, if you're doing I'm just jumping around here, showing you the interface, and how easy it is. Here's the journal entry screen, same look and feel, attachment capability. Notice though, for those of you that are on 300, job and GL transactions coded in one screen. Another thing I want to show real quick, we're going to go back to AP, and let's just go into something that everybody does, and that's pay bills. So real quick, you could put filters, job specific, let's say. You could put a date range. You could just choose vendors. I'm just giving an example of some of the changes in the software, and I'm going to apply a filter based on what I just selected. These are all the invoices. Notice as you click on these invoices, the bank balance is showing on the right. Notice as well, you could right here while you're paying a bill, open up that invoice and see how it was coded and actually get to the attachment if the attachment was added. As well, obviously get to line items. You could then add these 3 checks or invoices that I've selected to an outbox, which maybe other users are accumulating and adding bills to the outbox for payment later on, maybe on Fridays, or you could just pay these now and go print the checks. And print the checks or create the ACH automatically. I take you into the screen so you see the look and feel and the interface of doing what you do today in a much better, simpler layout with better access to the underlying documents and transactions that make up work that you're performing. We're just at the bottom of the hour, and this was intended as an intro. Let's see if there, Krista, any questions. If there are, I'll take those quickly before we close this down. And we invite anybody on this call, if you'd like to see Sage Intacct in more detail, please send us an email. We'll be sure to follow up with everyone as well and see if there's an interest in setting up a deeper dive into the product and the specifics of how it might serve your needs. Krista, any open questions in the chat?
Yes, we have a question. What did you say about a payroll module?
Payroll is coming out late 2021. Construction payroll, which will handle unions, certifieds, all the things that we are used to with Sage 100 and 300 in managing payroll in-house, as well as all the tax filing that is associated to that.
Okay, that's all the questions we have for right now.
Oh, I'm getting off easy. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining this session. I know it's short. We try to do that just to give you an introduction to it. There's so much more we'd love to cover. So we'll be sure to reach out to everybody and see if there's an interest to take another deeper dive into this product. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your week.